scholars refused to believe black Africans were capable of anything more than mud huts and pagan beliefs. To justify their exploitation of the Dark Continent, white colonizers claimed Africa's lost civilizations for white ancestors.
There is definitely a deeply ingrained idea in the Western world that Africans are a people without history. Even the Regius Professor of Modern History in my old university, Oxford, in my own lifetime could address a mass audience in the United Kingdom through the media and say, maybe in the future there will be African history. But at the moment, there is none. There is only the history of Europeans in Africa. The rest is darkness, and darkness is not a subject of history.
The great African civilizations relied on an oral tradition to pass on their ancient legends of mighty chiefs and tribal conflicts. Generation after generation heard these stories.
You say that as if it's uniquely African. Well, Africans actually are the first people to come up with script in it when you're looking at hieroglyphics and that. So I don't know what you're talking about. None of you guys wrote anything down. Anyway, you see. So you say it as if it's uniquely African. No, nobody wrote down anything. You know, we brought about everything. You know, this thing doesn't even do justice to us. You know, it really doesn't do justice to us because you're not even telling our story properly. You get me? You know, something wrong with you, white folk. You get me? You're never going to give us our honors. You get me? You're never going to give us the respect we deserve. You get me? You know, so I don't even know what these kind of things are attempted. You know, are you educating us? Are you educating yourselves? You know, who are you trying to make feel better here? Us or you? Because me, I watch shit like this is bullshit, you know?
Gradually the memories faded. Even the names of kings were forgotten. With no written record, the mighty empires of Africa's past became as vulnerable as their land.
You guys, you know, let me say, you guys destroyed everything, all right? You destroyed everything. You destroyed everything. You know, the records were up in Egypt. You get me? The records were up in Egypt. Because you guys, what you don't say is actually how united Africa was. Is to say, you are the people who introduced the idea of borders and boundaries in Africa. That never existed. You know, there was always free flow. Or, you know, people would just move back and forth as they wanted. There was no restrictions. So it upsets me to hear someone like you speak upon us Africans. You get me? Where's you? What's? I mean, why? For what reason? For what purpose? Were you even telling the truth? It would be something I would be in awe of. But as it is, it's you give with one hand and you take with the other. You give with one hand and you take with the other. And you open up this chapter with death as if that's all we were concerned about. Just to say, you know, there are so many things that are vibrant about our culture, but you know, you introduce death, you know. So it's never going to end until us Africans actually start telling our own story and stop letting you guys chat shit about us.
800 years ago, this rugged terrain near the South African border with Zimbabwe was the site of one such kingdom. All outward signs of their civilization have long vanished, yet the local Venda people know, through whispers from their ancestors, that great kings and queens were once buried here, high above the bushveld on the summit of a cliff. A burial ground created with thousands of tons of soil carried here to cover the bare rock of the cliff top. Each body was adorned with gold treasures before the royal graves were sealed. 8 centuries later, in 1932, an Afrikaner adventurer with a thirst for gold persuaded a local villager to take him to the ancestral burial site of Mapungubwe. Today, Ernst van Graan, grandson of the explorer, retraces that journey.
Oh, my grandfather, he was a treasure hunter. He was always interested in finding gold, and he was actually the football.
Wait a minute. Okay, so here we got our African kings who've been buried with gold. And your grandfather comes along and he is a treasure hunter, robbing our grandfather's graves. And you call him a treasure hunter for robbing our grandfather's graves. And you want us to take that and say he was a great man because he robbed dead kings. And that's how he got wealthy. Your grandfather got wealthy from robbing dead kings. And you want us to think your grandfather is a great man. Honestly, is that what you want us to really believe? That your grandfather was a treasure seeker? Okay, he did not work, he did not work to get that gold. He robbed dead people. You get what I'm trying to say here? And you are proud of that. Wow. It's amazing.
The kingdom of Mutalpa, sometimes referred to as the
That's amazing.
For this place for almost 5 years.
Centuries of superstition had protected this royal burial ground from theft. Their guide dared not even look at this sacred hill, fearing he would be struck blind.
I'm glad you call it was protected from theft until you white boys came and you stole. You get me. You have to return back all these things, the gold you stole. To give it back. You have to give it back. Something wrong with you.
The local vendor people, they call this hill Mapungubwe, the hill of the jackal. And they call it the hill of the jackal because they believe there's evil spirits and things going around here.
Yeah, and you make a mockery of our customs, cultures, and ways. You guys have no respect for nature, for us, not even for yourselves, in fact. That will be your downfall, your lack of respect. You don't respect shit.
When they approached the hill, there was these vertical cliffs, and it seems to be impossible to get onto the hill. And then they found this secret passage going up behind me.
As Van Graan's team began their climb, they found holes carved into the rock face, an ancient stairway to the top of this hidden chimney. They feared the climb to the royal burial site could well be booby-trapped, with giant boulders poised to fall and crush them at any moment. But their ascent was safe.
Yeah, we're not sadistic people like you. You get me? You're thinking the worst through your narration, and you're really thinking the worst. You get what I'm trying to say? It's bullshit. It is bullshit. Someone has to call it out from all this bullshit we watch, and we are just allowing for you people to say shit about us. You get me? When do you get off saying shit about us? We don't say shit about you guys, you get me? When do you get off talking about us like that? You get me? It's time you all mind your own business, you get me? It's time you all talk about your own shit, for real. You get me? If you're gonna talk about us, at least, tell the truth. In fact, don't talk about us, because you ain't gonna say, don't, just, keep us out of your mouths, honestly.
They were about to uncover some of the last remaining royal treasure in all of southern Africa.
You're proud of that.
Normally, recovered gold objects were destined for the melting pot. Another important chapter in African history would have been doomed. And originally that was their plan. Luckily, at the last moment, Van Graan Jr. suffered a pang of conscience.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh my God, really? Oh, I'm so touched. Oh my God, really? How much is that? You know, like what? A couple $100 worth of gold? You guys, you looted billions. You get me? Billions. You get me? And you keep on looting billions. So he returns what? A couple of trinkets. And we are supposed to be grateful that the man has got a conscience now. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know, and people actually watch this shit.
Among the finds were a golden scepter and a gold rhinoceros. Small trinkets compared to Tutankhamun's treasures, yet they were the few precious remaining links to a long-forgotten past.
Yeah, because when your people came along, they looted everything. You get me? You stole everything. You stole everything.
Van Graan
Y'all left us
and
poor.
history student
Do you get me? Africans were never poor. But, you know, they insisted from the Arabs attacking, from you Europeans attacking. You know, we went through almost 400 years of war. You get me? Why don't you speak about things like that, you know? That we went through almost 400 years of war from being attacked by the Arabs and you guys, the Europeans. To the point where we went backwards instead of forwards. You get me? As to say, when we you look at us now, we shouldn't even be around. You get me? You know, had it been any other people subjected to this kind of molestation and, you know, degradation, you know, inhumane treatment from Europeans and the rest of the world, and the way you look at us black people as if to say we are a plague. Yet, you know, you've got your historians saying that, you know, we are the originators of life, you know, them kind of things like that. You know, I don't know, you know, what to believe. You guys, you're liars anyway, you get me? You tell lies. You tell lies about everything. Even simple things you can't be honest about, you know. You know, we are really, really tired of you guys. You get me? The rest of the world, actually. You know, Africans are really getting tired of the rest of the world. We're really getting tired of the way you look at us. Really. And also we are tired of, you know, these people that you put in power, you get me, all over Africa, to fuck up the people of Africa, you get me? So you could keep on looting, you know, so you could keep on enriching yourselves. The status quo is going to change, you get me? Because Africans, we're waking up to this bullshit of yours. We are, you know, and sooner or later, we're going to have to stick it to the man, you get me? Sooner or later, we're going to have to stick it to the rest of the world. Sooner or later, the rest of the world is to reckon who they are fucking with, you get me? Honestly. Because y'all don't know, y'all forgotten who we are, you get me? Y'all forgotten who we are, really. Y'all could have killed us, you should have killed us, but you can't, you couldn't, you wanted to, you're still trying to, but you can't, you won't, you see. And we are going to take over.
He knew the significance of these artifacts and decided to donate them to the university.
Wow. How generous.
Rescued, these treasures remain hidden from public view.
Oh my God, rescued from what? From these savages. You went and robbed our graves. Do you get the idiocracy of this? The hypocrisy of this? Do you get me? We're not buying this anymore. I don't know. Me, this magic stopped working. It doesn't work with me anymore. It doesn't. I see you for what you are. You get me? Thieves, criminals, liars, hypocrites. Above all, idiots. Yeah. I see what you're doing. And the rest of the world is going to see what you're doing. Well, the rest of the world actually sees what you're doing. It's Africans who should actually wise up to what you're doing. It's, you know, it ain't right.
Locked away in
Gave me a lot of
archaeology
beer.
department vaults. Pottery later excavated at the site proved there was once an enormous settlement in Mapungubwe. Yet to this day, the University of Pretoria has allowed only a few archaeologists access to these remarkable finds. These are the most important artifacts in sub-Saharan Africa, reluctantly brought out to be photographed on special occasions, then locked away again. They might as well still be buried. All this secrecy has its roots in apartheid. Dutch settlers maintained that blacks and whites had arrived in the area at roughly the same time, giving them equal claim to the territory.
Whoa. Yeah, wait a minute. You guys, okay, we cannot take what you white people say because you're liars. You get me? Bottom line, liars. You get me? Thieves and criminals. How can white people and black people come to this area around the same time? In Africa, do you get me? Where does that happen? Do you get me? How does it happen? How can we arrive in Zimbabwe or in Southern Africa around the same time as the Dutch? Coming from where? Huh? You know this story of saying, you know, this land used to belong to the Bushmen, the Hottentot, and what, you know. Yes, these are different tribes. You get me? We've always been had different tribes. Okay? There's never been a time when this place has never been occupied. Okay? This place has always been occupied continuously since the beginning of time. Okay? You cannot come in and try and tell us our history. Do you get me? You can't tell us our history. You can't chat shit like that. Do you get me? We're not buying them kind of things anymore.
Dating placed Mapungubwe
Bullshit.
as early as 1200 AD, white South Africans were stunned. They refused to believe blacks had arrived in the region more than 400 years earlier than the first whites.
Whoa. You see, what do you mean more than 400 years? Arrived from where? Do you get me? So where did we come from, Africans, if we are arriving in Africa? Do you get me? Where are we coming from? I would like to know, where are we coming from? If we are arriving in Africa, where are we coming from as Africans? Do you get me? That's bullshit. Do you know what I mean? What are you doing?
The Afrikaner scientists tested and retested Mapungubwe, making it one of the most radiocarbon dated sites in all of southern Africa. Yet the result is always
Trying to claim, isn't it? Yes, all this is trying to make a claim. So you can, you know, substantiate a lie. Well, you cannot substantiate a lie because a lie is a lie and it has no basis in, you know, in reality. It has got no basis in truth. So you want to use these scientific means and this and that and whatnot. You know, let's call a spade, you get me? You people came from somewhere else, you get me, to rob, okay? Steal and kill, you get me? That's what you do, okay? That's what your kind does, you get me? That's what you people do.
like 1200 AD.
With many white settlers in southern Africa, much of their argument had rested on the proposition. Much of this land was, in any case, free of African people, or what we knew belongs to Africa. We arrived at about the same time as the Africans, so they have no greater claim than we have. So we have as much right as they have. So to tell them that, look, but they were here hundreds of years before, undermines some of their basic claim to a special status in South Africa.
And that's some bullshit. Ain't that some bullshit? Ain't that some bullshit?
This civilization was ancient, it was prosperous, and it was black. But what happened to these people remains a mystery.
You know, it's no mystery what happened to Africa. We came in contact with Europeans and Arabs. Okay, we came into contact with Europeans and Arabs, people with no values. You get me? People who had less values than us. You get me? People who had no respect for life. We did not go slaughtering people around the world. Africans never went slaughtering people around the world. Okay, we never did that. Y'all came to us and y'all started slaughtering and killing us and robbing us because you didn't want to trade for the gold. You wanted to take the gold. You get me? You didn't want to trade for the crops. You wanted that land. You get me? That's what you people did. Why are we beating about the bush? Who are you trying to make feel better here? Are you trying to make yourself feel better, or are you trying to make us feel better by this? Because to me, this year is not even getting to the whole, it's not getting to the onion of it all. Was it ever intended to get to the onion of it all? For what reason and purposes are this kind of documentaries made, history denied? For what purpose is it done for? Especially if you're touching upon my culture, I'm Zimbabwean. Did you get me? A history denied by whom? Do you get what I'm saying? These kind of things, they upset me. Okay, they upset me. They upset me. Do you get me? You have no right to speak the way you speak. Do you get me? You have no right to speak the way you speak. That vanity, that pride, that arrogance, it shall be removed.
Perhaps they drove their cattle herds further north to the lusher pastures and cooler climate of higher ground. Or perhaps they became the long-sought ancestors of another African kingdom. For only 100 years later, 200 miles beyond the Limpopo River, one of the greatest African empires would be founded. While Europe was in the Middle Ages, Southern Africa was dominated by the Kingdom of Great Zimbabwe. Their kings ruled from a court enclosed by a colossal circular wall, over 25 feet high and 16 feet thick. Little is known about the empire. Even the names of their kings are now forgotten.
That's some bullshit, okay? If you were not asked to go and do the research, okay, and ask this is the thing, you're talking over us. Do you get me? You're talking over us. I don't even see any of us being asked here about our history. You're talking over us here. Do you get me? You're really talking over us, and that's a fucking insult. Do you get me? You have not asked the people about their own history. Do you get me? Forgotten kings, what? I could name a few kings myself from that era. So how can you say they are forgotten kings? Do you get me? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Do you get me? And I'm going to stop it right here and just publish it right now. Because this is bullshit. You guys can watch the rest of it yourselves. Do you get me? Because this, for me, is just bullshit.